there. Welcome. Welcome to Homekeepers. Come right on in, my friend. I'm Arthelene Rippy. Program's Homekeepers, and we like to really talk about the home and do anything we can, you know, impart information to you that will make the home better. I really do think it's the foundation. God started in the Garden of Eden, you know, with a couple, and they had children, and that's just been his plan, and Satan does everything in his power to tear up the home. And we are here to fight against that. So you're welcome. If you're a brand new viewer, hope you'll be back. And also for those regular viewers and some of your names we know so well, we are so thrilled to know you. So glad that God crossed our paths, okay? Got a great guest today. I need 2 hours to talk to her, but we're going to try to hit the high points of her book, My Daddy's Secret. Denise Shick is here and deals with the fact that her father was what they call today transgender, and we have Bruce Jenner in the news and getting, you know, all kinds of awards for being courageous and all that. And Hollywood is really on this topic today. But here's a gal who lived it and has discovered the sustaining power of God all the way through it. It's a book that was very hard to lay down, and gives a lot of understanding on this subject. The Bible says, good understanding giveth favor. So it's a kind of a good thing to look behind the curtain of some of these things, and Denise will do that for us. And I'm going to join Stephanie for a crustless spinach quiche. I can't tell you how good it looks. And for, you know, for Americans and their carbs and all, when you take that crust off, it's a lot better for us. So I'm anxious to taste that. And before I go over there, though, I want to offer you the book, Winning the Money Game by Ike Iakawo. And we have offered this before. It talks about everything you need to know about achieving financial independence, separating the myths from the truth. And we've made a special offer on this book. It was offered for more in the past, but today it's offered for $15. And that includes your shipping and handling. And it's a good idea to go over all of your financial picture with some real regularity. So I hope that you'll take advantage of this offer today. If you use your credit card, it's 1-800-229-0059, or the address is on your screen, Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. And we'll be glad to get it out to you. And I'm anxious to try this one.
It looks really, really good. And it's something I'll eat, so.
Yeah.
Yay.
Look at her. She's getting so skinny.
Whoa.
We've had, well, you wouldn't let me mention that you were on an eating plan until you reached the 25 pounds now.
And now I'm at 27.
And you're just looking so good, but the viewers have noticed that we've got some emails that, so how does that make you feel?
That feels good. No.
After all your hard work, yeah.
Right.
Okay, what do you want me to do?
Okay, you can spray the pan. You can, you have 5 eggs that you're gonna whip up.
Okay.
And I have onions and I have mushrooms that I'm gonna saute. You know, and just a forewarning, this is 2 days before I go on vacation. So.
And she's not here. Her heart's
and my heart. And then this Friday when we're taping, we're doing 2 shows. So good luck. That's all I'm saying.
And
I might wear my pajamas for those shows.
She plans to wear her pajamas for 2 weeks. So.
Yep. And I might as well start early. I'll wear my Christmas pajamas on the 2 shows on Friday.
What do they look like? We need a picture.
Oh well, I might wear them. You never know.
Hey.
I got some pepper. So that was ham. That was some cut up ham. It was onions. I'm so involved in my vacation talk that I forget to talk about the recipe.
And we got about
mushrooms, onions,
more days to go.
Chopped up ham.
Oh, look at that. I put it in the wrong boat.
Who's going on vacation? Who?
Who's paying attention?
You didn't even get to see that.
The camera people are laughing.
The egg in the eggshell bowl.
Yeah. The camera people are laughing. That's not kind. You don't laugh at your elders.
Right? Well, around here.
Not nice.
Around here we have to.
Boy, I just had a birthday, and did you see the wonderful stuff
You are
on
lovingly spoiled.
Oh,
and I swear you just had a birthday 6 months ago.
Well, I have them whenever it's convenient, you know.
Hey, whenever she needs to feel spoiled.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's tell them what let's see, I had grandkids text me and write, and
sing. Didn't some call and sing to you?
the great-grandkids got on the phone and sang and giggled a lot.
Giggling is fun.
And my son's coming 2 days to take me out. My daughter took me out, gave me roses. Man, it was a great birthday.
You are spoiled. I love it. Okay, so this is frozen chopped spinach that was thawed and the water was taken
Yeah, and you
off.
have to really squeeze the water out of it.
And cook this longer than we're cooking it. We're speed cooking for television, but you want to saute those vegetables a little bit longer.
Okay.
So then we have cheese. You can use any cheese you want. It calls for Monterey Jack or Munster. You couldn't find those, so you got mozzarella.
We got mozzarella. I think that tastes kind of good with some Swiss.
Oh, that would be really yummy.
Or the Munster.
It would be good.
But mozzarella, you can put that in anything.
Yep, so I'm going to put the cheese in. Again, speed cooking.
And the fact that it has no crust.
Yes, that's awesome.
I can pick this
It's
up.
really like
Kinda
an
hot.
omelet in a pan. But...
Look at this, how gorgeous.
Okay, so I'm going to pour this in here.
So, oh, you put it in there and then you pour the eggs over
I'm going to
it?
because the eggs will just scramble if I put them in a hot pan. Not that that would be bad, but... And then we're going to pour the eggs over. That was 5 eggs. So it was mushrooms, onions, pepper, ham, spinach.
And this comes out just as good as if it had a crust.
And then you just bake it for 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes at 350. That's so good.
It's kind of hot.
It's kind of hot.
It's delicious.
That cheese is good.
You don't miss the crust, trust me. It's just, and you can see how beautifully it comes out.
Oh my gosh. That's good.
Yeah, this is a winner.
For sure.
I think you want this one. And you can have it for absolutely free. Best way is to email us. That information's coming up on your screen. We'll send it right back to you. And if you don't have a computer, write to us. It helps if you send us an addressed envelope and stamped and all that. But it's called Crustless Spinach Quiche, and it is delicious. 1 to 10. How
It's
much?
a 10.
It's a 10.
It's good. It's tasty.
Okay. So take advantage of that. That'd be a great thing, you know, when you have a brunch or something. So we think you'll like it. Stay with me. I want you to meet Denise Shick, and I'll tell you, she's got a story of God's amazing grace.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, just write to the address on your screen, or you can email your request to arthelene@rippy.org.
I am very, very thankful to be able to introduce to you Denise Shick. Is there a correct pronunciation?
Yes, it is.
Is that right?
Yes.
I'm very good at messing up names. It's kind of a gift I have. And she is the author of My Daddy's Secret. She also leads a church-based support group for people with sexual addictions. Spent a lot of time in the pro-life movement and also the abstinence. You taught that, or you had a program for it?
Yes,
What was that
program.
like?
It was pretty unique working with teenagers and, you know, encouraging the value that they have.
Were some of the values you taught them, you know,
Abstaining
surprising?
Yeah, well, I think just, you know, encouraging them and the value that they're worth waiting for, you know, in today's world, which is really a...
I just read this morning somewhere, Miss World, and I don't know what in the world that is, but she stands on pro-life and sex is for marriage, so God bless her.
Yes.
Hope she has a lot of people listen to her. You've been married 34 years, 4 children.
Yes.
You looking great, let me tell you.
Thank you.
Do you want to give just a capsule of your story And at what age you found out that your dad was not like every other dad?
Sure. It was on a specific summer day, you know, school vacation, elementary school, and my father asked me to come outside that he wanted to talk with me. My mother was at work, and I'm the oldest of 5, so I was taking care of the children. And on that specific day, we sat in the backyard as he told me of his desire to become a woman. Instantly, I had felt the loss of a father, just knowing that that's not what he wanted to be. And so that was a process, you know, you're trying to process this as 9 years old. And at the same time, I'm thinking, well, what does this mean for me, not realizing in the days and the years ahead of the grieving process of letting go and having a father that doesn't really want to be a father and him wanting to be a woman.
That would be a shocking announcement at 9 years old. You never hear of somebody wanting to change their sex. You might today, but
not then. You didn't. And one of the thoughts that I had at that time was, why are you telling me this? You know, understanding that I was a child, and not understanding why he was devouring all this information. And
I very seldom see Dr. Phil, but I do enjoy his program if I get a chance to. And something he says over and over and over, you never burden children with adult issues. Mm-hmm. And if he wanted to tell someone this was the worst possible choice, but you had bigger problems down the road, he would get very fresh with you and fondle and all this. And as I read your book, it was like, what can I do to stay away from him? And at the same time, protect my younger siblings.
yes. Yeah, I took the mother role, you know, because I knew how this was impacting my life. By the time I was 11, 12 years old, starting to get confused about my own sexuality, my own gender, thinking that if God really made a mistake with my dad, how do I know then that I'm really not supposed to be a man? And knowing how my imagination, you know, started to run away with different thoughts and what I would look like as a man, how I would walk, and what that would mean for relationships as an adult. And so all of this confusion, I didn't want my brothers thinking, well, dad's like this, so therefore questioning, you know, their own sexuality or gender of who they were created. And of course, protecting my younger sister from any harm that would come her way, knowing that I would do whatever it took to protect her.
Now, your mother's an interesting subject because she knew all this. But it was more than passive, I think. How would you describe how she looked at things?
I think that I know that she did not realize the power that was behind my father's desires, that they both naively thought that getting married would solve.
She knew about it before the marriage?
She knew about this before the marriage, but it did not, it intensified as the years went on. So she had no idea really what she was in for. As strong as she was in her faith in God, she just was weak in other areas, you know, emotionally, and I think her strength and faith is definitely the thing that I had seen in my mother through the years and would hang on to, because I knew that if she was hanging on to God, then I could hang on to God and walk this out too.
Now this starts with something, this is really pretty bizarre and alien to me, and I think my generation is like, what? You know? Yeah. But it starts out with a term called cross-dressing, where they find some kind of satisfaction or release from anxiety or something to put on women's clothes. That is so far removed from me. I have no place in my imagination for it.
Yeah. I remember one gentleman telling me that the power that it had on him, he had no idea. He said, you know, I go out to work, I have my work boots on and look like a man, but nobody realizes what I'm wearing underneath. He said, I thought I can control it, but I discovered that it controls me. So realizing how something like that really can affect our mindset and take us down a whole different avenue into a tangled web.
Were you raised in a Catholic church?
Yes, I was.
But friends, I told her, I've just met her, you know, but it seems to me that God was with you.
Yes.
And as a young girl in your mind and heart, you rejected this, and that you could stop it. You know, some people say they have no power over it, but there was something in you, as I read your book, that God can do anything. And you never made room for it. You never made an excuse for it.
No, I didn't. You know, even as a little girl, after my dad had revealed that, and going to catechism, and you go outside our Catholic church back home, and it had a statue of Jesus, and his arms out. And so as that little girl, I used to dream that I was in the arms. You know, I would see that, and I'd think I'm in Jesus' arms. So much of my faith came from, you know, my Catholic upbringing. And it really wasn't until I started dating my husband then at the age of 15 where, because of being so lost and wanting something more, you know, what did it mean to have Jesus Christ as your Savior? For him to be able to talk to him and to have him meet you where you were. So that was a whole new chapter for me.
Your husband took you to a different church with that kind of taught a little bit more closer relationship with Jesus, and that he could be a really intricate part of your life. As I mentioned, it seemed like, you know, God had his hand on you, and you had this, whatever, reaching out to him at a very, very young age, in such a confusing environment. As I read your story, I think you lived in chaos.
Yes.
Did you think everybody's home was like that?
No.
You knew better?
I did not, but it made me fear others knowing the chaos that I was living in because of fear of rejection, how others would reflect that on me or my mom, you know, something of that. Definitely fear-driven to keep it a secret.
I interviewed Bill Murray once, Madeline Murray O'Hare's son, and he became a very strong Christian and had a ministry. And I put that question to him. I said, did you think everybody's home was like yours? He said, I knew it wasn't. He said she would throw things, and he, you know, he knew that there was a better way out there. And so apparently you observed enough that you knew the same thing.
Yeah, kept running to God, you know, in spite of it all, even though I definitely had put myself in dangerous situations and danger could have come, but just relying on God. So I'm looking up at the heavens, you know, from down here on earth and saying, God, I don't know why this is happening, but I know you're with me. I know you're with me, and just trust in him to be with me.
I mentioned a couple of miracles, and one of them that you were always reaching out to God, but you met your husband at the age of 15?
Yes.
Here's a miracle, friends, because statistically, anybody who's been raised like you, your marriage should never have made it, ever. You meet at 15, you marry at 18, and you're still married to him.
Yes.
And he knew you told him everything.
Yes.
He must have really loved you. I think a lot of young men would say, wait a minute.
Yeah, and that's what I feared, because we had dated almost a year. And he said, I don't understand the distance between you and your father and why you're so cold.
He noticed it.
Yeah, towards him. And so he said, I'm not going to take no for an answer this time. I want to know. And that's what I thought. You know, he's going to run for the hills. He's going to leave me. I've lost him. But he didn't. You know, he walked into my home, and he still carried on a conversation with my dad. And nobody could have known what he just found out. And so it amazed me, because I thought, how can he do that? How can he, you know, and at the same point realizing that that's what Jesus would have done. So my husband continues to show me what I believe is the representation of Jesus Christ very well.
We have Denise's website up. You can get the book there. You can get it on Amazon, I'm sure.
Yes.
The name of the book is My Daddy's Secret, if you just joined us. I'm talking to Denise Shick, and it's a story that, boy, I had a hard time laying this book down. And we are just barely, you know, touching some of the really checkpoints almost of what went on in her life from the time that he told her, at the age of 9, he wanted to be a woman. And then there are years in there when he finally decides, I'm going to do it.
Yes.
How old were you when that happened?
I was 28.
So he lived this a long time.
Yes, yeah, behind the closed doors of the bedroom or the bathroom or, you know, wherever he was. And what he did outside of the home for a very long time. And at that point, he decided he was going to go live and change his identity and become Becky.
Mm-hmm. And so he went through some surgeries and things and hormones that they tend to do. Did you break off all communication at that time?
I did after a while. He had moved about 4 hours away from home. You know, we were trying to help my mother, my husband and I, because he left her in a very bad place financially, emotionally. You know, she's just so broken and so hurt by this. So come alongside and helping her. At the same time, really hoping as that little girl, just wanting my daddy back, wanting him to be healed, to have some healing of understanding the things that had played a part of this in his life. And after a while of realizing that he was going to live this out and starting to receive mail with Becky on there and different things, I just, emotionally, I was struggling. And I realized that it was not helping me at that point. So I had rejected his letters.
There was a part in the book where you got very curious and checking into his home and the way he had been raised. And I think this is very significant. I remember Oprah once saying she had, it's one of the most moving shows I've ever seen. She had a whole audience of men who had been molested. And unless you see it, you can just hardly imagine with the camera on their faces and tears in their eyes and so forth. I mean, these are grown men, and they were dealing with that on this program. And I'll never, she said, abusers abuse. And so to look into your dad's background, what did you discover in his home that might have, you know, played a part in how he turned out?
Yeah, I understood that he was sexually molested as a young boy. I also had learned from an aunt and a great aunt the dynamics of his father, the father-son relationship, that there was a real severe disconnect there. I knew my grandmother was an alcoholic growing up, but had learned more about the stories behind that. And so my dad was actually known as a little boy, the lost little boy in town. And that's really the identity that he grew up with.
The lost boy, yeah. You know, when you look into that, and one thing I want the viewers to understand, one godly life can turn that around. You don't have to be in prison to the things that went on in the generations. When Jesus enters the home, it can absolutely change everything. And if everybody in your home is in chaos, you can be the one to accept the Lord, follow after him, and it will have a ripple effect. So these people are to be pitied. It's just incredible. But you always thought, I could tell from the time you're 9, you know, it's a choice. And all the way through, no matter what's going on, it's a choice. He could turn it around.
Yeah, it was a decision, you know, that he had made. And with that came consequences for him and, you know, our family. So understanding, you know, as much as I'd been through as a child, again, I didn't want him to leave. I wanted somebody to come alongside and to be there and to help and to understand. He could change his outside. He could look like a woman, but it was the heart and understanding the wounds that were within that heart that needed ministered to.
Were you with him when he passed away?
I was. My husband and I had left the hospital just about a half hour before he had passed away, but we were with him at that day. I could not visit enough. You know, that's where God was bringing more healing, forgiveness for both of us, and further healing for both of us before he left this earth. And it wasn't until that last day where I just had really learned what God's amazing grace was about, as I'm looking around the hospital room and remembering the conversations and the tears shed by him and I in these visits. And I bent down to kiss him on the forehead, and it was at that time where I thought, this is what God's amazing grace is about. And to know that I would not give that up for anything, that whole, no matter how painful my journey was, for it to have an ending like that, what a gift from God.
And he admitted the whole thing was deception, isn't that true?
Yeah. He said that this had not satisfied and fulfilled my life like I thought that it would.
Boy, it pays to follow the Lord, doesn't it?
Yes.
Now, according to what I read, you lead a church-based support group for people with sexual addictions. A lot of times in the church we like to pray and it'll all be over, it's gone. Because dealing with these things isn't easy. But it seems like God's in the process very much so, as much as the end result.
Yes. Yeah.
What kind of people are you talking to? Homosexuals or
People that struggle with same-sex attraction, pornography, gender issues, just struggle with their God-given gender. And to be able to minister to them, it's like taken back and tracing back. Because again, somebody that struggles with their sex, with their born sex, there's reasons for that. And you've got to trace back, because somebody can look like a woman, talk like a woman, and possibly fool everybody around them of what sex they were born. But unless they are reached in their heart, nothing's changed. And I've had people that have confessed that to me.
isn't pornography a really tough one?
It is, yes. A strong addiction, a stronghold.
And the Bible gives you a lot of hints on that. Job said, I've made a covenant with my eye. King David said, I'll set no wicked thing before my eye. Jesus said, the eye is the lamp of the soul. And as believers, and we need to hear more from the pulpit, we got to guard our eyes. There are things I wouldn't look at if you held a gun to my head, because I think it's very, very clear that we don't let it in there, and then it's not going to find a real home,
Yeah, images are hard to not remember, when they see certain images.
We are almost out of time, but have you had some really good testimonies come out? Because that's a pretty tough ministry.
Yeah, it is.
The Lord will lined up all the ministries, you take your pick.
There are some amazing people that God has allowed me to meet and walk alongside of, that have walked out of, not gently, but to really do the work that it's taken, and to see the restoration in their life, and where they now say, I am a man, or I am a woman.
Amen. He doesn't waste our pain, and He's using yours. And man, I'm so glad you brought us your story. And anytime you're coming through here, let me know. Okay. I'd like to have you on again. We are just about out of time, but I hope that we've given you a little bit of understanding on a pretty tough subject. But Jesus came to redeem everybody. So don't forget that. And please join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you should miss a Homekeepers program, you can catch up by going to www.ctnonline.com. Click on CTN Programs and then on Homekeepers.